Good morning. We are going to talk about this FRQ practice, which is a very typical type of FRQ that you will see on your exam this in less than 2 weeks. Okay, hopefully you guys got onto the College Board demo and completed that and completed my survey. I will be looking at those later this week to make sure that there are no issues. So make sure that you are working through that demo, and if you have any problems, let me know. So this FRQ had to do with some estuaries, which could show up on your real FRQ because all of this stuff is expected. You're expected to know all this. Another typical thing that you're going to see is probably some graphs like this in order to compare them or help you interpret the data to answer the questions. All right, so looking at this first question, you have to describe one ecological service that is provided by the salt marsh. So I've graded the ones that have been submitted at this time, and pretty much everybody got this one correct. An ecological service is something that is beneficial to nature. And you could have said things like breeding grounds for biodiversity, a good place for biodiversity, filtering water, because water settles out, so the pollutants filter out, protecting the coastlines from flooding. So those are things that are ecological services. One economic service that is provided by the salt marsh would have to do with money, and some of you didn't mention money, so make sure that you do say how it supports an industry, like obviously the fishing industry. Shrimp are found in salt marshes, and so that benefits the fishing industry. You could have also said that by protecting from flooding, it limits our insurance because salt marshes do protect from that. So then there's less monetary damage if there is a flood for your home or your property. If you talked about filtering water, that would be good for obviously the health of the fish, which then benefits the fishing industry. So somebody said something about wood. That's fine. Mangrove wood, that's for commercial construction. So those are types of economical services. C, explain how urbanization can lead to large amounts of excess nutrients entering the estuary from runoff. So first, you had to make sure that you understand that excess nutrients come from farming industries, fertilization, CAFOs, that type of thing, the nitrogens, the phosphorus. Several of you said fossil fuels and pollution from oil and cars. That's not giving excess nutrients, so you don't get any points for that. You had to specifically keep it at, either people in an urban area that are fertilizing their yards. Maybe there's, farming, agricultural areas. A lot of you put that because the urban areas are concrete, that leads to excess runoff. That is correct. So you just need to make sure that you're not talking about fossil fuels here because that's not leading to excess nutrients. D, the level of dissolved oxygen would fluctuate throughout the day based on the producers and users of dissolved oxygen in the water. Explain why the level of dissolved oxygen is higher at dusk. That has to do with the amount of photosynthesis taking place during the day. You've got all your plants going through photosynthesis due to, the sunlight, and that leads to greater amount of dissolved oxygen towards your evening, and then it decreases at night. D2 was one of these things that really you just needed to tell me. It says predict which part of the estuary, and you will probably need to be able to do some sort of prediction based on the graph. So predict which part of the estuary, upper or lower, is located closer to urban areas. and then explain your reasoning by using the data provided. So if you just said upper or lower estuary, you might get partial credit, but you're not going to get the full point. The upper estuary has more fluctuation. Due to that, that is where it is closer to the urban areas because it has more excess nutrients coming in, probably making a whole lot of algae blooms and eutrophication, which then causes the dissolved oxygen to go very, very high and then very, very low as the bacteria eat up that the dead plants, the dead algae, and then decrease that O2. So due to that fluctuation, that is an indicator that you have an unhealthy estuary, so the upper estuary. And because of that fluctuation that is greater, because it's showing you right there in the graph, that's the full correct answer with that question. So D, again, something that you're going to need to be able to do is propose a solution. And in this case, to propose a solution to reduce the input of nutrients from urban areas. A lot of you put some, put a green park in, put more rooftop gardenings, use permeable pavement to reduce runoff, build a barrier, put green spaces. Those are all correct reasons and solutions. Make sure that you could also say laws. Some people put, creating a law to limit the amount of fertilizer used. These are all correct. So just make sure you thoroughly write a statement about a solution to that when you see those types of questions. Scientists wanted to investigate if excess nutrients would harm fish in the estuary, and you were to write a testable hypothesis. All right, people, you have to make sure that you can write an if-then statement for a hypothesis. I still have people not doing this. You will not get any points if you do not put an if-then, increase, decrease, what have you, hypothesis statement in here. So make it simple. If the nutrients increase, then the fish mortality decreases. Whatever. It's just simple. Increase, decrease. You could do both increases or both decreases, but you have to make sure that it is a testable investigation, and that means increase or decrease, increase, increase, decrease, decrease. And you got to put it in that if-then statement. I can't get that across to you enough. The other thing is that you can't use I. And don't write my hypothesis or I hypothesis or whatever. You just do it if then. And I'm telling you this because this is a type of statement that should take you like 15 seconds to write. And you are very limited in the amount of time that you have to answer these questions. And one of those points in the document that you were supposed to read is that there is a good chance that you are not going to be able to answer every single question, all right, given to you, because you might have 20 things to answer in one FRQ. You have got to hit those easy, quick ones first, and then go back and do the harder questions because you're going to run out of time. I know that because you guys will run out of time, and that's okay as long as you answer as much as you can. But keep in mind that when you're doing a question like a hypothesis, that should be an easy point and it should be quick, and then move on to the next thing. So just make sure as you're doing these, you are timing yourself. And if you do find that you are running 15 minutes and then you still have questions to answer, just stop so that I can grade it the way it is, and then I can give you feedback on that. Because you might be putting more time into a question than you should. So over the next week and a half, try to time yourselves really well. And again, if you get to that point where your time has been met, stop writing because you're going to have to stop on the real exam. So these are all important and good hints to know. And hopefully you will do the demo that College Board sent you. All right, I'm going to go through the next one, and I'll post these later. Have a great day.